um controle com nada mais. Descubra a perfeição. QLED, the next innovation in TV. Homens encaram cada situação, mas quando precisam de um desodorante, não tem por que sofrer. Novo desodorante Nivea Men Original Protect. Longa proteção sem irritação. Homens, este é o seu desodorante. Conseguir fazer a reunião mais importante do dia é muito especial. Estar presente mesmo do outro lado do mundo não tem preço. Com seu cartão Mastercard Black, você tem acesso ao nosso serviço exclusivo de Wi-Fi global.
E com Booking.com você acha o melhor lugar para ficar. Para férias ensolaradas e viagens de fim de semana. E se tiver que cancelar, tudo bem. Quase sempre é grátis. E sempre dá para reservar de novo. Booking.com. Booking.uau.
Relaxa, cara, calma. Fica frio. Não se mexa nisso. Não matei ela. Por que fugiu? Não sabe que a gente detesta isso? Eu não matei ela. Você soube que a senhora Cutler morreu na noite passada. Acho que foi por isso que fugiu. Não é o que estão pensando. Vai falando. Eu quero um advogado. Se a autópsia provar que ela morreu de alguma coisa que você fez, você vai para a cadeia.
Falamos com o Dr. Lando. Ele disse que ela estava sofrendo de demência e poderia ficar violenta.
A sua ficha não indica que gosta de agredir as pessoas. Não gosto.
Então conta o que aconteceu.
Não iam acreditar em mim.
Nos disse que ela era um monstro e que atacou você, por isso?
Olha, eu estava ajudando ela a voltar para o quarto. Ela estava me contando uma história sobre correr pela floresta e sentir gosto de sangue na boca. Eu não levei a sério. Fui pegar um cobertor para ela e quando eu percebi, eu estava sendo atacado por um monstro. Eu não uso drogas, nunca tomei esteroides. Eu sei o que vi.
Conta o que você viu.
Tá bom. Vocês querem saber? Tinha olhos amarelos, pelos por todos os lados. E veio pra cima de mim mostrando os dentes como um cachorro doido.
Tá, e depois?
Eu revidei. Eu empurrei ele contra a parede e ele voltou a ser a senhora Cutler. Foi quando a Eternina apareceu? Olha, eu sei que parece loucura, mas eu tô dizendo a verdade. Olha, eu cuidei da senhora Cutler por 3 anos. Ela era minha amiga. Eu não a machucaria. Acredite em você mesmo. Vamos ver o que fazer. O quê? Sério? Ela roubou e surtou. Foi autodefesa.
Nosso depoimento não vai ajudar.
Vamos ter que ajudá-lo no tribunal. O ataque da senhora Cutler foi tão inesperado e violento que a reação dele só poderia ser autodefesa.
Foi, boa tarde. Chegamos em 10 minutos. A legista quer mostrar uma coisa.
Vai me fazer batalhar por isso.
Achou alguma coisa?
O que pode me falar sobre magia com sangue? Um dos livros da sua mãe diz que o sangue tem a ver com passar pro outro lado e com a morte. Fala em apunhalar guerreiros no campo de batalha, do estágio final da presa de um caçador, de sacrifício humano no altar e que às vezes o sangue é usado como moeda.
Pega leve.
E se o sangue pudesse ser usado como pagamento para passar pro outro mundo?
Magia com sangue é muito perigosa.
Nós só teríamos que usar para chegar do outro lado.
Tudo bem que você chega do outro lado e se não puder voltar.
Isso funcionaria?
Eu não sei.
Obrigada, vou continuar procurando. Alguns ferimentos são consistentes com a descrição do relatório. Há uma contusão na parte de trás da cabeça, mas sem sangramento no cérebro. A senhora Cutler tinha um coração saudável.
Não há indícios de que o confronto físico com o servente possa ter causado a morte dela.
Não com base nas provas físicas que tenho.
Tá bom, obrigado.
No entanto, o organismo dela está com um nível muito alto de hialuronidase.
O que é isso?
Uma substância presente na saliva de insetos. Eu pesquisei e nunca tinha visto antes. É de um barbeiro conhecido como inseto assassino. Ele usa a hialuronidase junto com outras enzimas para criar um coquetel de saliva letal que mata suas vítimas.
Vítimas seriam outros insetos?
Claro,
Como foi parar no corpo dela?
não faço ideia.
Alguém teria injetado isso nela?
Eu não sei de quantos besouros você precisaria para conseguir isso, mas eu acho que é possível.
Foi isso que ela mandou?
Normalmente não é tóxico para humanos, mas nessa quantidade vai saber. Se algum lugar pudesse ter um besouro gigante, seria Portland.
Podem ser violentos, cruéis, egoístas, mas só quem pode salvar a vida de um ser humano é outro ser humano. Ajude-nos a salvar vidas. Seja doador de Médicos Sem Fronteiras. Acesse agora msf.org.br ou ligue para 0800 941 0808. Nos cantos esquecidos do mundo, em conflitos armados, nas epidemias, quando a fome ameaça a sobrevivência, há seres humanos, pessoas que precisam de cuidados de saúde, vidas que precisam ser salvas. Seja doador de Médicos Sem Fronteiras. Acesse agora msf.org.br ou ligue para 0800 941 0808. Médicos Sem Fronteiras. Precisamos de você para salvar vidas. Um lugar que a gente se sente tão bem que até parece nossa casa. Sentir-se em casa em qualquer lugar do mundo não tem preço. Com seu Mastercard Black, você tem acesso a salas VIP de aeroportos e ofertas especiais em spas, restaurantes e lojas.
Com Booking.com você acha o melhor lugar para ficar. Para férias ensolaradas e viagens de fim de semana. E se tiver que cancelar, tudo bem. Quase sempre é grátis. E sempre dá para reservar de novo. Booking.com. Booking.uau.
Viajar sem falar a língua do taxista nem sempre é uma boa ideia. Mas fazer sua reserva no hotéis.com é. Ganhe descontos na hora. E diárias grátis depois. Hotéis.com.
Está no papel no sofá. Veio o vizinho só pra matar. O cama sabe até no sofá. Está no papel no sofá. Veio o ralo entupido pra me apitar. O cama sabe o ralo entupido pra me apitar e até no sofá.
Porto Seguro Alto. Para você receber tudo isso sem estar no sofá. Conte para o seguro que vai muito além do seu carro. Consulte seu corretor.
Só você que é o net, sabe que é muito pela de tudo.
There's no there. The Davis Cup final is all set for 2017. It's going to be three-time champions France, trying to win it for the first time since 2001 against Belgium, who've never won it. Sir Wilfried Tsonga is back in the French team, and he carried them over the finish line in the semi-final.
Hello, welcome to BR Roundtable, episode 52. My name is Gary, and I'm joined by Chris, Anthony, and Steve. And yeah, we've been going, this is episode 52, so we've been going for approximately a year now. So stay tuned till the end of the show because we've got some giveaways to announce that will be taking place sort of on iTunes, and also we might have something for people on Reddit and YouTube as well. So check the end of the show for that. But anyway, let's go over to Anthony first this week. How are you?
I'm doing good. Everything's going great. I mean, obviously, with what's going on in Florida, you know, my heart goes out to everybody there. Hopefully people are getting out of there safely. The NFL starts tomorrow. I'm excited. I kind of just spoiled it. We're doing this on Saturday, and it's the first weekend of the NFL. And I love VR, but I'm a football junkie as well. So it's an exciting time for me right now. So
the season got off to the best start imaginable with the Patriots taking an L. Come on,
yeah, I love
that. Okay, good. Most of the world loves that, or most of the country at least.
Dude, I'm so sick of Tom Brady, and I'm in fantasy football as well. And I was playing a guy that had Tom Brady, and so I was so happy to see him have such a terrible game. Just because Tom Brady, man, I mean, he's like Captain America. It's like he's had enough fun for his life. Let somebody else enjoy something.
This doesn't motivate them to go 15-0 the rest of the season.
I don't know what these guys are talking about. Anyway, Steve, how are you this week? I think you're feeling a bit under the weather, aren't you?
I'm doing okay. I'm feeling better, but yeah, I've been sick earlier this week, coming back from a little trip my wife and I took last week. So feeling better, but driving home, I went to Chicago, and driving home, I listened to the show that you guys did last week, and I have to say that I thought one of you three were going to chime in and give me my honorary vote for Game of the Year, because all three of you know what I would have said, but none of you said, hey, I'm going to vote in Steve's proxy for Resident Evil 7. No one did it. So there it is. I'm putting it out there. My Game of the Year thus far in 2017 for VR. No surprise for anyone that has listened to the show more than once. It's Resident Evil 7.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I thought maybe Lone Echo would be there for you.
Lone Echo is a very close second. I think it's the better, technical VR experience, but in terms of overall game and feeling, I still prefer Resident Evil 7.
Yeah. You know what's unusual about that is there's usually when you get into award seasons and stuff, there's a major, recency bias, and we tend to think of things that are more fresh in our mind. And Resident Evil 7, that was late January, so that's truly impressive that it's holding up for you. So
yeah,
we'll have to see if it survives.
It's recent in our minds because Steve brings it up every show. So
sorry.
It's a great game. Well, I was just going to say, because if presumably this game's going to be coming out on the Bible, the Rift at some point as well. I can't wait to pick this game up because everyone does talk about it.
Well, you're probably not going to like it as much then, because I've been building the hype for you, so there's no way it's going to live up to what you think it may be based on hype.
The only thing I'll say is at least Steve doesn't talk about Lucky's Tale anymore. Remember that? I mean, this being the 52-week episode or whatever. Early on, he was always mentioning Lucky's Tale.
It's a good game. Chris, how are you this week?
I'm good. I'm back in Maine just because my electric skateboard I've been waiting 10 months for shipped here to my apartment, which was annoying because I changed the address a month ago. But, excited to finally have that, and yeah.
Is you doing a video for it then on your channel? So.
Yeah, it's gonna go. I think it goes at top speed of 33 miles an hour. It's pretty insane. So that'll be fun.
That's dangerous. You can't be pocket on that bit.
Yeah, it's pretty scary, but.
Wow. Okay. Anyway, let's get on to the show because we've got a few news stories that we want to talk about this week. We've also got, what else have we got? So yeah, we've got some big news stories, some smaller ones, and then we've got a fair few games that we want to get into. A few of these are a little bit older games, but we can mention them anyway and talk briefly about our opinions, because although, you know, VR's been around for a while now and games have been, you know, obviously around for that length of time, it all depends on when you jump on certain games. And there are certain games in these lists that are a little bit older that we're just getting to now, so we'll give some opinions on there. But the first news story that I've got down here is Rockstar. Now, they announced LA Noire for VR, which is sort of a standalone, a separate thing. It's not the full game that they're going to be doing, bringing out this November. It will be sort of a separate title, which includes some of the cases for VR that have been specially designed for VR, or converted, I should say. So this is called LA Noire, the VR case files, and it's coming out for the HTC Vive. This is coinciding with a PlayStation release of like a sort of a remaster of LA Noire as well. But this is all interesting stuff. I'll get onto my thoughts in a moment, but Steve, why don't I go over to you first? What do you think of this?
I don't have too much to say, other than I think it's good news because it's indicative that Rockstar is no longer ignoring, and Take-Two are no longer ignoring the VR segment. This is presumably their Trojan horse into getting some developer experience, getting some work under their belt, so that hopefully, as they are inevitably making the next Grand Theft Auto and all that, it may also include some VR content. So I played LA Noire. I didn't complete it. I put maybe an hour or two into it back, and I think the game came out in 2011. So there's a lot of commentary that it makes sense for them to use it as their VR sort of entryway, because it's a little bit slower pace. It's not as fast as a Grand Theft Auto in general, and that some of the detective type elements would translate a little bit better to some of the VR mechanisms. So I think it's good news, and I'm excited to see Rockstar get into the boat.
Yeah. Anthony, how about you? Have you played LA Noire before?
No, you know, this is going to be similar to me, like Half-Life 2 VR mod. Well, Half-Life 2 VR mod, I played about halfway through that and never finished it. And so I'm tremendously excited because it's like, hey, this is kind of almost a new game because I haven't finished it. LA Noire is even better for me because when this game came out, I just didn't get around to it for whatever. I was playing other things. I was interested in it. I saw it and was excited about it. The cool thing about this is if we go back to the development of LA Noire, I believe the game was primarily developed in Australia. Rockstar had a team in Australia at the time, and they used a lot of specialized technology to make this game. They took actors and filmed them in these special camera setups where there was like 150 cameras hitting them in all possible angles. And so they did a lot of work that kind of stuff could really translate to VR quite well. And the other thing I always think about is I remember playing Batman Arkham VR. Like when I first played Batman Arkham VR on the PlayStation VR, there's this one scene where it's a fight between these two guys, and you're standing right there, and you're watching this fight happen. You can rewind time, you can fast forward time, and you can kind of walk around it, and you're kind of like observing the scene. And I remember when I was playing that, I was like, man, VR would be absolutely perfect for detective games. Because the thing about VR is you kind of want to take your time in VR. You don't want to rush through stuff. You kind of want to enjoy just being in a physical space and kind of looking around and stuff like that. And a detective game, I mean, that's just perfect. Those of you that have played Quinero, which is kind of a sampler of an idea that, I don't know if it was like the University of Toronto or something, but some school created Quinero as a project. And that's very similar as well, where you're seeing something happen, you rewind it, you fast forward, you're kind of looking for clues and taking everything more and bringing it get to VR is exciting. And when we heard about the 7 case files rather than the full game, a lot of people were disappointed with that. Me, I'm actually more excited after hearing that, because what I think is possible is they handpicked, very specific cases that they think work better for VR. And if they were just going to do like an Alien Isolation mod or like a Doom 3 BFG type mod where they're basically just converting the entire game for VR in like one fell swoop and then the whole thing would work, sometimes that's a little bit less elegant, where if they take individual pieces and they try to craft it. I'm assuming that this is legit and that they're really putting time towards this. And to Steve's remarks, we all know about Strauss Zelnick. He's made it perfectly clear. The CEO of Take-Two Interactive, he said it a million times that he's not really a big VR guy. But Take-Two Interactive, as a major publisher, one of the biggest in the industry, they would be ludicrous not to dip their toes in all of these different waters. All these companies have to do this play, if nothing else. And us as VR consumers, I think if this game is we should buy it. Because it's sending a message to these major publishers that, VR is not going away. We need to start dedicating resources to this. And if anybody wants Grand Theft Auto and VR, you gotta buy this. And I can't keep telling people to buy stuff like that. Like, really, they should please us. But VR is new, beggars not choosers, and we gotta vote with our wallet.
Yeah, we've all heard this too, because when VR was first released, everybody was after these sort of Grand Theft Auto type games, and everybody's mentioned before that Take-Two was never really interested, in fact quite the opposite, in terms of VR, some of the comments that they've made. So it's interesting that now Rockstar are doing something like this. And, I've not played LA Noire before, and I've heard from various people that this is a type game that's perfectly suited for virtual reality. So I'm really looking forward to playing this. And I think you're right, if we want to send a message, I think it's more the potential, what this means for the future of VR. The fact that Rockstar are just dipping their toes into this to test the waters speaks volumes. When we've heard this before about how Take-Two are not interested, the fact that Rockstar are taking this step is more interesting to me than the actual game. I don't know a lot about the game, I'm interested to try it, but I think the fact that a developer is huge as Rockstar, the biggest developer in the world really, for them to be making this move is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to it. Chris, I haven't played online before. Have you ever tried this game?
No, I haven't, but I've played a similar detective style game at my college. We had these QA labs where we could go in and test what the seniors and juniors are doing, and they had this Vive game they were working on that was kind of similar, and it's just so cool because you have the notes and you can remember where the notes are, and it makes perfect sense. I'm just kind of wondering how free-handed note-taking is going to be on the Vive ones. That would be kind of interesting to try to write out whatever you want to remember or whatever. But yeah, based on the article, it sounds like it's exactly hand-picked stuff that would work really well, like first-person driving, the note-taking and shootouts. That's all stuff that we know works well in VR, and it'll be cool. I feel like there's never been a driving experience where I can use a Vive one or touch control to control the wheel. So I hope that's what this is, because I would buy it just for that alone. I haven't seen an experience like that.
It'd be interesting to see how they're planning on making this transition. If you're in a standing environment and then all of a sudden, in the next scene you sit down in the car, how they make that transition. Do they say, find a seat and we'll sort of reset the view and then you go ahead? I don't know how things work, so how they might
Yeah, I've always wanted, this is one of my dream games, is I've always wanted a room scale game where I have this seated area and it's walk to your car or whatever. I have my car exactly where it should be, and then when I step in the seat, it's a wheel, and I want this to happen. I don't think this will happen in this game, but
yeah,
good idea, man.
Just on that point as well, and just quickly before we move on to the next news story, everybody knows who watches this show knows that I'm you know, I like No Man's Sky, I'm a bit of a fan of that game, and I think it'd be great in VR, but that also has a similar problem. You know, you've got that where you're walking around on the planet would be great for room scale, with motion controllers, but then the part where you're flying the ship, and travelling between planets would really need to be a seated experience.
You know, the accessory that we need is the VR chair, you know, a track chair. And I mean, people are going to need a room scale space to do this, but imagine if you had a nice room scale space and you put your track chair in, say, the far left corner, right? And you have it aimed in this direction, so it's kind of like the driver's side of the car. For Gary, of course, it'd be opposite in Europe. But what you could do is you always have that chair there, and then so for when you do that, you would actually see a car in the right position. The chair would be in that right spot. And so you go over, you open that virtual door, and then you sit on that chair.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, anyway, we can get to the next news story. This was one that stuck out to me because I think this is really important actually. This is Motion, which are a company that are providing a solution for hand gesture controls in AR kits. Now what this is, it's an additional SDK as part of the AR kit, which will integrate hand gestures in order for developers to use this kind of stuff and employ it in their own applications. There was a video on this which looked quite interesting. Now, the video was really somebody holding a phone in front of them, and then they had their hands out, and they were just basically playing beer pong, where they were throwing a ping pong ball into some cups on the other side of the table. But this was all done in augmented reality. And it's interesting to me. I think this is sort of indicative of the next stage of AR. We're still very early on in AR. You know, we've got AR kits and AR core coming out, but this is still very early on. And it's interesting that companies are working on this kind of stuff, because I think gesture control is what's needed to take it to the next stage. If we ever get to the point where we're wearing these glasses, AR glasses that are possibly connected, tethered to our phones or whatever, at that point, I think we do need these gesture controls. You don't want to be carrying around motion controllers with you or anything like that. And this seemed to work pretty well. It's got 27 degrees of freedom, so presumably that means it's got sort of 20 plus specific gestures it can recognise. And you know, it can recognise things like swipes, clicking, tapping, grabbing and releasing. And they've also mentioned, Motion have also mentioned that they'll be bringing this technology over to AR Core as well as AR Kits. Chris, did you see this video at all of this Motion?
Yeah, it looks pretty promising. It's kind of similar to how the HoloLens was at first, when they had like what they call it, like the
pinch type. Yeah, I don't know exactly what they call it.
Like or whatever they want to call it. Yeah, I feel like that's the easiest kind of gesture to detect, because you can see the fingers coming together. But I've used the Leap Motion a lot back in the DevKit 2 days, and like once you can see your hands, or once your hands are tracked accurately and you can make gestures, it's going to be a really big game changer. So it's good to see progress in this, especially when there's like a depth sensing camera in phones or something, if that ever happens. Because right now I doubt it knows how far the hand is from the table. It's just kind of a guess. But yeah, in the future I can imagine like if there's any depth information, you can actually do some pretty accurate track games with this type of mechanic. So.
That's a good point.
Amor, foi o dia mais divertido. A gente falou que agora a gente criou o nosso grupo da piscina. O grupo da piscina, no show, tinha uma pessoa que era que a gente gostava. Que era meio da piscina, não cumprimenta a gente fora do grupo, sabe? Uma pessoa que se encontra na garagem, ela meio que vira a cara e tava no grupo. Daí a gente tava querendo fazer um novo grupo e deixar lá fora. Aí hoje na piscina surgiu a ideia, vamos fazer o grupo da piscina e a gente vai sem ela.
Photographer's photo thing, because they have blurred background and in focus foreground. But to your point, Chris, I think as higher end smartphones that have multiple lens cameras will be able to do that. it should they invest in the software and actually make it work. I think they'll have
Eu vi que ela ficava olhando, sabe? Que daí assim, nós tiramos foto, contava piada, dava risada, alguém convidou ela. Amor, ela não se eu vou falar pra você. Não, a nossa grupo agora fechou, a gente não vai pôr mais ninguém.
Well, I don't know, presumably
Ah, vou falar
that's
isso,
how
tá bom.
it moves it to be believed that they're going to have those models with the very high-end models, sort of $1,000 plus, which possibly will have some advanced technology in order to help things like AR kit and sort of elevated beyond what standard AR phones can do. But we don't know, we're going to see what happens next week, but I just wanted to mention that because my contract's up, so to see what happens with that. Anthony, did you have anything you wanted to mention on that motion? I don't know if you saw the video.
Yeah, I saw the video real quick. I agree with what Chris is saying because you can't, I mean, you're not going to be bringing controllers around with you, so they do have to have a solution for that. I don't know, it's going to be interesting. I haven't tried like a leap motion or anything where you're just using your fingers and there's no tactile, there's no extra like feedback coming, and I'm just wondering like, I wonder if they could just have like a little thing that just goes on your finger and your thumb, and it maybe just gives you a tiny little bit of fluid, you know, just a little like you're touching, like there's 5 little boxes, you know what I mean, and you touch the boxes and you feel just a little, and maybe you can just put a little tiny little thing on your 2 digits to kind of give you a little bit, but then, you know, you're sticking something in your pocket, so I don't know if that would work either. But all of this is exciting that we, you know, we're continuing to move forward, and I'm looking forward to these, to the new iPhone announcement as well, because I'm looking forward to this getting kickstarted a little bit more.
Yeah, you know what's so weird is when I had the leap motion, like, when you see your hands completely tracked accurately, like, it didn't happen very often because of leap motion isn't the best at tracking, but you kind of felt like your hands were going through objects and you felt like air. It was so weird. It was like this sensation of like feeling the object. Like it felt like someone was blowing on your hand even though you were just touching the object. Like just from visuals alone, it was the creepiest thing. I don't know if other people experienced that, but like it's so weird. Like it felt like exactly what you were saying, Andy. Like it feels like there's some feedback when your hands on something. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I've tried leap motion too, and it actually works a little bit better than I expected it to, but within sort of very limited parameters, you know, you've got to have your hands right in front of you in order for it to track them properly. And I thought it worked pretty well, but yeah, the feedback, you know, we're going from things like even touch screens, you know, going from standard controller-based gaming to touchscreen gaming. A lot of people don't like that transition, and I don't really like these touchscreens. There's no feedback in it that I think we do need. But Chris, you know, as you say, by having all, they can do clever things with just visuals and sound in order to make you sort of make that leap beyond having actual feelings, haptics within your fingers. They can probably do a lot to combat all of that stuff anyway, so you don't need specific things, although obviously that will help in the long run. Okay, the next news story that we've got down here is the Pimax 8K HMD. Now, this is a Steam VR compatible. This was actually announced a while ago, and we all saw pictures of this HMD, which is sort of, it looks a little bit mad, you know, when it's on your face, and pictures of this, it extends beyond the usual sort of HMDs that we're seeing, like the HTC Vive or the Oculus Rift. It's a very, very large HMD, but the reason it's done that is because it's using separate screens, very, very big screens, which give a wider field of view. But the interesting thing about this new story that I thought is, in this video, this latest video of this headset that's been released, is the amount of accessories that this company is producing for this HMD. Now, in this short video, it's only about a minute or a minute and a half long, they go through some of the accessories that they're going to be sort of releasing. I don't know whether they'll be released alongside or at a future date. I'll just go over these, and then I'll go over to you guys for your opinions on this. But in this video, they're also going to be releasing an eye tracking module, which is, these are all add-ons. These are not things you get with the HMD, these are things that you can buy at a later date. So you've got an eye tracking module, you've also got an inside-out hand tracking module, which clips onto the bottom of the HMD. It looks a little bit like a Leap Motion kind of add-on. We've also got a Scent enabling module, which you can remove these previous modules and attach this on, so you get Scent in VR as well. You've also got this wireless transmission module, customised VR frames, which are for people with prescription glasses, presumably, cooling fan, and then separate headbands. You've got a headband and a head strap as well, which are all separate items. But I just thought it was interesting, you know, a lot of people are talking about this 8K HMD and all these accessories as well. When I look at this, when I see this video, how well is all this stuff going to work? It feels like this company is doing too much. But Steve, I'll go over to you first on this one. I don't know your thoughts.
Well, I mean, I think the company probably is doing too much. I think from a technical standpoint, I didn't pay too much attention to it. I think the headset itself was announced back at the beginning of the year at CES, perhaps. And I didn't pay too much attention to it, and I guess I missed that it was a Steam VR capable system. And what I wondered with all the recent news being picked up on it is that it actually comes with lighthouses, and then their motion controllers is like a hybrid between the Vive ones and the Oculus Touch, and the controller design actually looks pretty nice, and to me it looks better than the Microsoft controller. So all of that is pretty interesting in and of itself. But the accessories are also, you know, they're not really saying whether or not these accessories will be available at launch or how much later. Is it going to be something that's a year later? Who knows? But all in all, I think it's an interesting product, and I'm very curious to see what it's going to go for retail-wise. Now, it's not truly 8K. It's sort of a misnomer. It's part of their marketing and their branding. It's a 4K screen per eye, which is different than perceiving something at 8K resolution, but it's still like way above any of the headsets that are out there today. So it's very curious. Now on the downside, I believe it's only got a 60 hertz refresh rate, so there will be no 90 or 120 frame content on it. And it's possibly also LCD and not OLED or other types of display technology, which may cause some of that ghosting effect. LCD in general isn't as good, but nevertheless, and it's interesting. But there's going to be a Kickstarter as well, which is something I didn't know until recently. I'm not going to go for a Kickstarter. I think Chris has a horror story, you know, on Kickstarters themselves. That's just too risky. But if it ever comes out and something that I can buy in a store, especially if the LG unit hasn't surfaced and Microsoft units aren't all that of an improvement resolution-wise, I would be hard tempted to not like at least buy one and try it for a couple of weeks and return it or something.
Yeah, Pimax, they did release a 4K HMD as well a while ago now, and I've seen some impressions of that, and that also had this 60 hertz refresh rate. But a lot of people were saying, you know, that one really wasn't that bad overall. Some of the videos I saw of reviews of that, they said it worked pretty well. Anthony, does an 8K HMD interest you?
Hell yeah. But you know, I'm actually a little bit more curious about the 200-degree field of view. And so when you look at this headset, it looks very similar to the Star VR, you know, the Star Breeze one, right? And so you basically have the screens horizontal like that, and so it's kind of sticking out and wrapping around. Now, obviously, the big downside is if you think VR looks dorky now, wait till you get this thing on your head. But the idea of seeing 200-degree field of view, see, I don't know, man, it's like, I really like this idea of pushing immersion and like, let's get us into this world more, and seeing more of the world is tremendously exciting. On my own Vive, I'm using this like super thin foam gasket so that I can just get my eyeballs as close as humanly possible to the screens, and I see so much more of the world. And it's what, you know, if I use someone else's Vive or I go back to the original stock gasket, it's like, oh my God, this is such a downgrade, because I was getting like an extra 10%. So imagine like another 90% added to your field of view and practically almost all your periphery. I'm wondering how they're doing this though, because I remember Panasonic, I think it might have been at the last Consumer Electronics Show, Panasonic showed off a prototype headset that they had where it had your normal screens, but it had another two screens that were in there, another lens that was like tilted a bit, and it was basically for your periphery. I wonder if they're doing a similar thing to that. And then the big question I have too is, like Steve mentioned this, if you look at the pictures for this, it shows what appears to be two lighthouse-like cubes, right? Is this officially licensed by Valve? Like, is that actual lighthouse technology, or is this company building something that is similar to a lighthouse and it's going to work like a lighthouse, and this will work with Steam VR just like your Oculus Rift will work with Steam VR? Or are they really licensing technology from Valve? That's a huge question for me, because if they're really licensing technology from Valve and this really has lighthouses, my interest level jumps dramatically. Where if this is just them creating their own faux lighthouse, so to speak, I'm like, I don't know, now. But you have to go back to the size of the thing and how huge it is and the weight and like moving around. Try to play Space Pirate Trainer and you're moving around like this and you got this big giant thing. Is it going to stay firm? How much does it weigh? I would love to try one of these things in person. I'd love to try the Star VR thing in person. I wish there was someplace I could go to try some of this stuff.
Yeah. In that video, actually, they put it on some scales with the HTC Vive, and they, it's lighter than a Vive, so that's pretty interesting as well. Chris, did you see this video?
I did see the video, but I've been looking at the article, and in the article it says that they've integrated Lighthouse from Valve, so that's good for Anthony, I guess. But I just don't agree with all this little accessory stuff, like you're gonna have a million accessories, and if you want to smell stuff, you have to buy an accessory. I just think that's like the wrong business move to go for. Maybe they're trying to be like a high-end VR headset where you buy the wireless add-on, you buy all this stuff later, I guess, but I just don't agree with that business model, per se. But it does seem cool. I really wish it wasn't LCD. I'd be way more excited if it was OLED, just because I've had LCD, the Dev Kit 1 was terrible with ghosting. I'm sure this might be fine, but yeah. And then also I think they use Fresnel lenses, they've got to. And I've heard, I think Palmer Luckey talked about the Star VR a while ago, and he said it just causes major warping depending on how it is on your head. But I need to try it, if it's actually good, this would be a game changer, I feel like.
Hey, quick question out there. So this 200-degree field of view, let's say you did get this headset and you have this 200-degree field of view, will games automatically take advantage of that, or do they have to have a special mode that you'll have to access?
Well, from everything that I've read so far, because a few people have brought that up and they've said that it should just work, but it can be dependent on certain things. But they said that generally speaking, I think it was the developer, I can't remember, it might be Tiny, the developer of Tiny was answering this question. They said, really, it should just work, but there are some factors that you need to take into account with that as well.
I think, I agree with you. I remember reading something to that effect as well, Gary. The expectation that the field of view is just your window into a 360-degree world with left and right eye depth, and it should work for the most part. I think if you have any menu options or any HUD, it may present an issue in your game. You may have to revisit that, but just viewing into the space, it should translate relatively easy. I may have been wrong on the LCD. I think I picked that up from somewhere else, and maybe there's a carryover from the Timex survey. The actual stated specifications are that it has a 75/90 hertz per eye refresh rate. I don't know how you have slash, if you're either a frequency or a not with your display, so I'm not sure what that means. But then also can support 150 to 180 hertz with brain warp. I'm guessing Brain Warp is their take on Time Warp from Oculus. So maybe it's a little bit better than what I initially stated.
It does say LCD in the article, so I don't know, maybe the article, like, I guess it could just be a high refresh LCD, but what is weird to me is they're including lighthouses, but they also have their optically tracked thing. Like, if you look on the website, it still has like an Oculus sensor type camera, but then they also have lighthouses. I'm just wondering what the point of that is. It's really strange.
There'll be more details released at some point, I'm sure. Yeah, because like you say, there is a Kickstarter for this as well. I think that goes live towards the end of September, towards the end of this month, so you can check that out.
Chris, are you going to get on that Kickstarter? We know you're a fan of it.
Oh man, it was annoying because like I was all done with Kickstarters, after the STEM system, but like before the STEM system, I almost went on the Oculus Kickstarter. I wish I did, because you could have got a free rip, but who would have known, right? But,
right.
I mean, STEM system, man. One of these weeks, I bet I'll get it.
They have no legal obligation. Like if they go under, it's not like they've stolen from you. You're taking that risk as a backer, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. My skateboard, I'm glad it got delivered, but like I trusted the company before, and it wasn't a Kickstarter, it was like a pre-order on their website, so I had a little more of a, legal say in it or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, just on Steam VR actually, Anthony, I'll go to you on this one. I think you put something down here where, because we heard about this a while ago, but Steam VR won't be immediately available for these new Windows mixed reality headsets. Why don't you tell us a bit more?
Yeah, so this is kind of old, but we didn't cover this in our last show, so I just thought we should probably mention this. If you're planning on picking up one of the mixed reality headsets, is it October 17th that these are coming out?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. Okay, so if you're planning on grabbing one of these in mid-October, be aware of the fact that the day that you bring it home, you might not be jumping into Steam VR. So this is according to, let me get it here, Greg Sullivan. Okay, so Microsoft's communication director for mixed reality, he announced this at IFA 2017, which I believe that was the show that was in Germany where they were talking about all of this mixed reality stuff. And basically just saying that Steam VR will not be available for the release of the Fall Creators Update on October 17th. That work on integrating the mixed reality headsets in Valve's platform has just begun, and Sullivan provided no concrete answer when asked when customers will actually be able to access the Steam VR library. And it's funny because when this story did hit, there was some speculation from people thinking, I wonder if Microsoft is beyond delaying the Steam VR thing just a little bit so that everybody that grabs one of these things on October 17th has to go to the Microsoft Store, set up an account, start downloading some Microsoft Store stuff, rather than going to the store, buying this headset, coming home, immediately hooking it up to Steam VR, and not using anything Microsoft whatsoever, because you have to kind of assume with the HoloLens technology and the stuff that is being thrown into these things, that they might be being sold relatively close to cost, and that the money is more on the back end. And so there's probably a focus for Microsoft where they want to get people using their store. And I don't know if that's the case here, because some people are saying, really, how long would it take them? Like, it should only take them an afternoon to rewrite a little bit of code to get this up and running. So, we'll have to see. Hopefully it's only delayed like a week or so, I hope.
Yeah, it's interesting actually. I hadn't thought of that point, that this could be done on purpose in order for them to sort of capitalise on new VR owners just wanting to purchase from their store so that they can sort of get something on there. I mean, we did hear that these mixed reality headsets from Windows, they're going to be launched with quite a lot of titles really on the Windows Store as well. So, you can pick up a fair few of the games that are on Steam, like Arizona Sunshine and things like that, will be on the Windows Store as well. So it makes sense that they should probably delay this for a couple of weeks or a couple of months even. But I don't know if they give a time frame on when it will be getting Steam VR support. But yeah, it's interesting that point. Steve, would you got anything to say on this one?
You know, not as much. I'm not sure it's a conspiracy because there's no reason. Like, if Microsoft was the only headset on the market and they wanted to lock the ecosystem up for a period of time, but if you're on the market for a VR headset and you don't have to buy a Microsoft one, so it's like I don't see choosing your headset, a Microsoft headset. If you're interested in Steam VR, why would you just get a Rift? It's, I mean, it makes a little more money, I guess, but it doesn't make sense to me that a person would be knowingly and consciously interested in Steam VR and then go and buy a Microsoft headset before the Steam VR is readily available. So I don't see it as necessarily a big conspiracy. Maybe it is a little bit. I guess it wouldn't be a big conspiracy in and of itself, but I think more or less that they're going to want to, even though someone may be able to peck away the keyboard and get this resolved in short order, it's got to go through quality processes. Like, they don't want to release something that has potential of just coming out day one and being really, really, really broken. Because you can't recover from something like that, or makes it very difficult to recover from something like that. So I think it's more along that's just what it's taking to get this done. Now, the interesting thing for me is will some hacker, somebody like CrossVR, because I doubt he would do this, given where he's at right now, but with someone with that skill set, get it working, get the Microsoft units working in Steam VR before official support comes? Probably.
Yeah, that's a good point as well, actually. Yeah, I'm sure that will happen. But I mean, I don't think of it as some kind of conspiracy. I just think of it as some kind of business move on Microsoft's part, really, to sort of drag their heels for a couple of weeks or for a month or so. I think they could just sort of justify that from that point of view. And also, you know, I do take the point. Anybody who's been following VR would probably go for a Rift if it was compatible with Windows Mixed Reality and Steam VR. They could go for a Rift or a Vive or something like this. But, you know, I think the inside-out tracking is appealing to a lot of people and the convenience of that as well. So people could still go for it for that reason. Chris, what do you think of this? Do you think that Microsoft have done this on purpose, or is it just a delay as you'd expect?
I think it's really dumb because, like, yeah, knowing how easily this stuff can be integrated, you just take the SDK, like, this is the position of this, and this, pipe it to Steam VR. I mean, maybe it's not that easy per se, but, like, it should just take an hour, to be honest. Like, there's no way it would take longer than that. So it's got to be a business move or something, but I feel like it might even hurt them just to do this because people aren't going to buy these headsets day one because they're going to be like, I want to play all my Steam library VR games that I already have or that I bought in anticipation, because like this news came out after they announced Steam VR support, so I bet a bunch of people went and bought Steam VR games. Now they won't be able to play it day one, but yeah, I think something like CrossVR will just come up with a patch in like an hour or so after these come out. Like it should be very simple to do. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so the last main news story that I've got down here is Google possibly buying HTC. We heard that a few weeks ago that HTC were possibly selling the Vive part of their company, selling it off, and you know we had that tweet from Palmer Luckey saying, "Should I buy Vive?" But now it looks like, because the last couple of days it looks like the HTC was selling off the mobile phone part of their company. Now it appears that Google could possibly just be purchasing HTC entirely, including everything that they're doing with VR and mobile phones. So it's an interesting story, this one. I haven't read too much about this, but then just go back to Chris. I don't know if you've got anything extra to mention on this, because I don't know a lot about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not too much like that's hard evidence, but if you think about it, it kind of makes sense because you think Google is starting to do more hardware. You know, they have the Google Home, their Pixel, their Daydream, so that they're starting to kind of get more into the hardware space again. I mean, they did buy Motorola and sell it like a year later, so that happened in the past. But I feel like they would benefit from having this fast track to get things out into the market. And it does seem like they've been working a lot with HTC, like on their, you know, on their apps that they've made that kind of work with HTC products. VR-wise. So yeah, according to this article, it's in the final stages of acquiring all or part of HTC. So I don't know where this comes from, but if this happens, it sounds like it's going to happen fairly soon, and that would just be big news.
Yeah. Anthony, how about you?
Yeah, the ramifications of this, if it really does happen, is hard to imagine because honestly, I believe that if they are buying the entire company, like 95% of that purchase is for the manufacturing facilities and that type of thing because Google, then they don't have to contract out with another company. They have their own internal development for their phones. They can tie it in. From the VR standpoint, it's interesting because, they have this Daydream initiative. They have their own plans. They have a massive investment in Magic Leap and some other companies. So it's hard to imagine how it would all combine. Possibly they could look towards the Vive as being like a high-end VR solution. And, hopefully they wouldn't kill it off or anything like that. Or maybe they would spin it off or what have you. I was joking when this came out, when this was first announced. I was like, well, at least the positive news is that they can't be any worse at customer service than HTC and like the support and all of that. We always hear the horror stories about that. And so, I was just thinking maybe like if Google did take this over, I would imagine they would probably see all the complaints of like the horror stories of HTC support and stuff like that. And I would guess as an intelligently ran company that they would shut all of that down and create their own support and stuff like that. But some of the other people, I was in this one Reddit thread and some of the other people are saying, you really don't want Google. They buy things, they abandon it, all this type of stuff. So maybe it's not as great as I originally thought it would be. I thought, well, you can't get any worse than HTC really, right? So I thought anything would be better, but maybe not, I don't know.
Steve, what are your thoughts?
Who knows if it's true or not, that's my thought. If I think of HTC selling the entirety of themselves or selling just the smartphone portion in maintaining the Vive brand, Google is a company that would fit that. So it's believable. I don't know if these dots are connected because it's believable because there is some established relationship there. But it's a crapshoot, really. If we assume that it's true, I would think that it's a positive move for HTC and people that have HTC products or are a fan of the brand. I think in general, Google does more good than harm in the tech space. It is true they won't float something out there that isn't taking off. They will shut something down pretty quickly, but that doesn't mean that they would do that with anything VR related. If they would shut down some of the smartphone brands, and instead they leverage the infrastructure and the manufacturing capability to build a Pixel and then kill off any HTC branded phone while also maintaining the Vive, that would make perfect sense. So who knows, really? I think it's believable, and that's really our only takeaway right now is that this could be happening, and I think that's very fair if it does.
Yeah. Okay, a couple of smaller news stories that we've got down here. The first one I wanted to talk about is the Gallery X02. It's got a new trailer, so this is the Gallery X02 Heart of the Emberstone. The trailer that was released last week, last couple of days I believe, I just wanted to talk about this because I love it. I think it's fantastic. The Gallery is a game that I played not too long after I got my Vive actually. It was one of the first games that was very, very sort of polished and a high quality title when those kinds of titles were a little bit more few and far between than they are now. So I really enjoyed the Gallery, and this trailer is sort of set in, it's portrayed in a way like it's being played on an old VHS in the 80s, and they've nailed it down. I think I've come to the conclusion that I'm just an absolute sucker for anything that plays on 80s nostalgia, to be honest, because this absolutely drew me in. I've got you know, VHSs. I've still got them now of movies that I owned in the 80s. They don't get played because I've not got a VHS player, but I've still got them. But I remember there's a movie that I've got called Star Chaser, The Legend of Orion. It's an animated movie, an old 80s movie, but before that, we've got these trailers, as you do on these films, and this Gallery Episode 2 trailer absolutely nails the tone. It's not just the tone, but the voiceover, everything about it is perfect. And it harks back to these 80s films like The Goonies, which some people mentioned the Gallery Episode 1 sort of was reminiscent of in some ways. It's an adventure, and I think this trailer does such a fantastic job of getting you excited for this next episode. I'll pass it over to Anthony. Anthony, what did you think of this?
Man, I didn't see the trailer. I'm so sorry about that. But I am excited for this game. I've heard about it for a long time, and I heard that it was coming in September for a long time. And when this trailer first came out, I mentioned to somebody else, I was like, oh, did they give a final date, you know, maybe at the very end of the trailer? And there's still not a date. But they're still saying September. I'm looking at the screen here. We're in September 9th. So hopefully this will be coming in the next couple weeks. The only other thing I have to say about it is I do remember the developer did receive Knuckles controllers, you know, and they had some gifts and stuff where they were showing them using the Knuckles controllers in Heart of the Emberstone. And months ago, some of us were speculating, could this be a launch game? You know, could Knuckles be coming that fast? I don't think anybody thinks that now, but I'm still very excited for it. And it's supposedly going to be a lot longer than the first game, which was one of the biggest complaints of the first game. The price of the first game has dropped considerably since it was launched. So if you've never picked that up and you're looking forward to this other one, you might want to go ahead and grab the first game, play through it, and get ready for this next one.
Steve, I know you've played Gallery as well. What did you think? Did you see this trailer?
I saw the trailer, and I didn't draw as much from it as you did. It's a teaser trailer. It doesn't actually show any like gameplay. It just kind of, you get a quick glimpse at a like this path into this labyrinth or whatever's going on. Maybe it's the inner heart of the giant Emberstone. I don't know. But I'm so excited for the game. I honestly, I never finished the first one. I got into the sewer and then got distracted, did some other things, never went back to it. And I've been holding off on it for part 2 or episode 2 to be dated. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to probably just begin episode 1 from the beginning and kind of play through it and have it all fresh. So I want to get back to it. I'm going to play it. I have it in my library. I just need to wait for the second one to be dated because I want a more continuous experience. There's no point playing it now, in my opinion. So that's where I stand. I really look forward to the game. And I'll go ahead and this kind of segues to the next little small point that you're going to make, Gary. Is that, does anyone think that this is still possibly, if it does come out in September, is Oculus's larger, more AAA type experience for the month? Because as far as I know, there isn't a September title. The next title that we do know.
Alrighty, great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Trent. I am here today to talk to you about photogrammetry. There's a few things that I kind of want to cover and talk about. Now, it's kind of illustrating where it's identifying features across each image. Alright, so this is just one of the visualization tools in there, just to help you see what's going on and it's actually seeing where the features are.
Mamãe vai ver 2 cachorrinhos bonitos. Tem dois cachorrinhos lá.
Practitioner or someone that might be wanting to scan things or just do small plots with a rail, it's relatively accessible. They're really easy to use. Alright, some really cool stuff. The point there being is that the left there is the person that got their iPhone, got the torch on the iPhone, chucked it into a little pot, and used that as a lamp. Right, and it was just shining that across the surface basically. So it really just comes down to getting a high quality image. And of course, you're outside.
Vai colocar com cheiro.
A mamãe vai voltar com cheiro de uma shih tzu fêmea.
Igual o papai quando volta do boteco.
Escuta aqui.
Cheiro de cadelinha.
Escuta aqui. A mamãe vai ter uma shih tzu fêmea e outro filhotinho. Filhotinho. Não é estranho quando a mamãe chegar com o cheiro da shih tzu, tá bom?
Eu vou dar umas dicas pra você voltar sem cheiro.
Ah, é? É, me dá dica. Diz aí como é que é.
Não.
Vou passar um negócio laser em você pra saber se tem vestígio.
Não.
Um metro já. De distância já não pode.
A literária feira do livro, que são promovidas pelo certo.
Amor,
Nossa, peguei só, agora fica
tem
todo
sachê, tem que
bonito.
dar sachê pra eles, porque eu acho que
A gente não ia comprar?
Pois é, a gente não foi comprar, tem que comprar amanhã.
All new African voices.
Não lembro se você podia de repente passar ali pela agropecuária.
This week, for these creative women, passion fuels artistic expression.
Dressing Mombasa is not about money, it's about showing the world our modern life, our history.
African voices. Monday on CNN. In partnership with Rolex. Welcome back to Little Golf. Earlier in the show, we profiled the professional game for the over 50s at the Senior British Open. One player absent from the tournament, but who did make an emotional farewell recently in Birkdale following his final Open Championship appearance was Mark O'Meara. We've caught up with the 60-year-old American in Ireland while on a fishing trip at the 5-star Adair Manor Resort.
I was fortunate as a young man, Shane, to fall in love with golf at a pretty early age. I mean, at 13, it's late compared to the young individuals today. Falling in love with the game of golf was a blessing because really golf, it became my friend. But I would put fly fishing on a similar path as golf. All about a lot of times in golf, you can work really hard and not see the results right away. Like, you never really get it, right? You might borrow it for a little bit, or you might think you got it, and it's the same with fly fishing. You never really get it. You know, you can always get better. And that's why the two of them blend so well together.
Success for O'Meara came relatively late in his life. In 1998, at the age of 41, he became only the 6th man at that time to win the Masters and the Open in the same year.
Mark, how did you pull it off? 98 was just off the charts. It was a dream year for me, Shane. It really was. And I think what happened for me is a lot of people ask that question. Why? Why at 41 did it take you that long to win a major championship, let alone two? And I think what really transpired was maybe I was at a point in my life where I felt like it just wasn't championship, and I was okay with that. Because like I felt like I went well above the call. I was on tour when I was 22 or 3, and the dream came true. And there I was that Sunday afternoon, and my putt went in, and I raised my hands and my arms, and I didn't realize right at that moment what I had just done. I do now.
With a green jacket in his locker, O'Meara travelled to Ireland to prepare for the Open Championship. It was a trip he would make numerous times, playing a few of the best Irish links courses with a little fishing thrown in. The preparation certainly paid off. Mark won at Birkdale to cap a remarkable season.
I always dreamed that if I could just solve it would be the
Sozinho gostoso e depois a gente começa a ficar porco, sabe?
that person to be the champion
É muito engraçado. Depois de pegar sol, acho que ficou por uma hora assim.
Você, né? Eu peguei sol de inteiro também.
I had the third job. At that time, I had more major championships than Tiger Woods. I know that's hard to believe, but I did. And we got on the plane, and I had the case, and the third job was in the case, and it was in the aisle on the plane. And Tiger kind of took a glance. He looked over at it, and I said to him, 30 minutes into the flight, I said, come on, we got to take a look at the third job. It's amazing. He goes, I don't want to look at that. He goes, you know, one shot better, and I would have kicked your butt in that playoff. I'm like, maybe so, but the bottom line is, it is right there. We need to take a look at it. We pulled out the third shot, and I had it, and I handed it to him. He took a look at it, and he was very envious, as you pointed out earlier. But I also reminded him, I said, I truly believe that your name is going to be on that trophy way more than one time.
Acho que eu vou pôr uma roupa tampão.
Vai sufocar teu corpo com calor. Isso estraga a tua imunidade.
And I said to him, I said, you know that thing answered 2 putter right now? He goes, yeah, what about it? I said, well, why do you think it's a backup? It always comes up one shot shy. And he was like, oh, no. We landed in Orlando. He took the putter out of his bag and shoved it back in my bag. I'm done with that putter, Mark. I'm done with it. And he went to that Scotty Cameron. He won 13 more major championships.
Ó, sem suco de laranja.
O'Meara's relationship with Tiger Woods is as close as anyone in the game. Despite the 19-year age gap, they bonded, pushing each other to major success.
I'd say if it wasn't for Tiger Woods coming into my life, I probably wouldn't have won those 2 major championships. So I give Tiger a tremendous amount of credit for coming into my life and really changing my life and truly making me a better player. And, you know, it was good because we both helped each other, which that's the way any friendship works. And, you know, I see what he's accomplished in the game, and it's truly amazing.
Golf today for Mark is a much more relaxing affair. He's good friends with Irish businessman J.P. McManus, who owns Adair Manor. With a top-class golf course and the River Main ranking.
Mas o sol faz bem, não.
Mas é que a gente fica no imóvel.
Não tem, mas... Não fica pondo besteira na cabeça. Então vou lá.
Tchau, tchau.
Uma das melhores bandas da história aqui. Paulão no violão, Galeto no cavaco. Luiz no baixo, Marcos na percussão. Jaguara na outra percussão. Burá no surdo. Vitor na flauta e sax. Nara nos vocais. A galera tá de pé, porque o Domingão orgulhosamente recebe mais uma vez o pai do Eduardo, da Elísia, do Luiz, da Maria Eduarda, o avô do Noah e da Catarina, casado com a Santa Mônica, são 34 anos de carreira, 23 discos, 9 DVDs, 15 trilhas de novela. Mais de 10 milhões de discos vendidos, 30 discos de ouro, 10 de platina, 5 de diamante, 3 prêmios Grammys. Um dos maiores ou o maior prêmio da música no mundo, galera. Ele tem show no dia 1º agora, voltando a trabalhar no Jockey Clube do Rio. E estreia no dia 22, no Teatro Shopping Cidade em Copacabana, um musical, uma história de amor ao samba, uma história de Gessé Gomes da Silva Filho. É hora de Zeca Pagodinho!
Descobri sem querer a vida, verdade. A sombra foi atirando boca poeira. Descastela na sua emoção, logo seu coração. Fiz zoeira, ficando ceia, como for. Uma luz clarear sua estrada. A entrega perfeita do amor, a verdade.
O maior forró do Brasil!
Como negar essa minha emoção? Eu não morreu a noite sem telha. Nossa cama parece uma teia. Teu olhar uma luz que clareia. Meu caminho tão claro, lua cheia. Eu nem posso pensar em te ver. Ai de mim, esse amor terminar. Sem você minha felicidade morreria de tanto penar. Verdade. Amanhã seu amor de uma dica. Tu é a dica de um bom capoeira. Nega estrela na sua emoção. Com seu coração pintureira. Eu pego um brinco seu. Uma ceia como for. Vamos pegar sua estrada. A entrega perfeita do amor. Verdade. Obrigado a todos. Obrigado por show. Como negar essa minha devoção? Que não entra no meu coração. A minha paixão adormecida. Descobri que te amo demais.
Uma das maiores expressões da história da música do Brasil, Zeca Pagodinho, especialmente para Isa Silvia Ferreira de Iporá, Goiás, a Sara Airaildes Nunes do Cafundó, para Lisboa, a Edna Bolsas do aeroporto de Miami, galera ligada na Globo Internacional, para curtir um dos melhores representantes da autêntica música brasileira, Zeca Pagodinho, grande Jessé Gomes da Silva, filho. Eita! Galera, é realmente impressionante, os números falam por essa carreira. Meu 34 anos de história, 23 discos, 9 DVDs, mais de 15 trilhas de novela, mais de 10 milhões de discos vendidos, 30 discos de ouro, 10 de platina, 5 de diamante, 5 prêmios Grammy. Coisa de louco, meu. Ó, e agora, esse musical que é a história de amor ao samba, Zeca Pagodinho. Vamos lá, né? Quer dizer que Xerém agora está nos palcos. Toda essa história. Olha lá. Legal. Peter Brandão, Gustavo Gasparini, são dois atores do musical. Grande produção, meu. Eu repito, a partir do dia 22 de setembro agora, essa semana, Teatro Shopping Cidade em Copacabana. O mundo vai ver a história de Zeca Pagodinho.
Hoje eu vim igual você, também vim hoje com a minha. Tá ali, mas você vai escutar pra mim, tá bom.
Tá vendo já?
Não lembro mais nada.
Zeca, é o seguinte, ó. Quando você vê o Brasil hoje tendo poderosos sendo presos, e você vê que até a Globo vai apresentar agora uma série a partir de terça-feira, que logo depois do Sob Pressão, que é uma história, uma série que vai mostrar que a corrupção no Brasil sempre existiu. Então você vê que eu já falei isso aqui, ó. Desde que o primeiro Cabral chegou aqui e descobriu, tinha que ter começado a Lava Jato. A corrupção vem da história do Brasil. E chegou a um ponto que ficou um absurdo do absurdo. Você acha que a sociedade brasileira, o povo brasileiro, está ficando mais escaldado e preparado para, na hora de votar, se informar e não entrar no papo de novo e eleger? E quem impôs esse povo lá fomos nós.
Agora tem que voltar o dinheiro. Pagar os hospitais, pagar as escolas, tirar as crianças da rua.
E isso está acontecendo.
Então, eu só prender e o dinheiro não aparece.
Não, tem que aparecer. Não, e o dinheiro está aparecendo. A Operação Lava Jato está trazendo de volta da Suíça, isso é fundamental. Talvez não traga tudo, porque esses caras são espertos. Mas que vai trazer uma parte, com certeza.
Pois é, mas aí só sai da cadeia se devolver, senão fica lá.
Fica lá perfeitamente. Aí, uma frase, porque só assim, um dia, aí sim, o Brasil poderá cantar esse sucesso. Está mostrando esse sucesso de 96, o Nelson Filho já esteve aqui, dele do Carlinhos Santana, que é a verdade, que é uma letra que tem tudo a ver. Como essa aqui, ó, 2002, Serginho Militi, Hélio do Cais, ó, que borrada. Deixa a vida te levar. Dá-lhe, Zeca!
Eu vou falar do Maradona.
Aí, Maradona. Você pode. E aqui no Domingão pode.
Eu já passei por quase tudo nessa vida. Primavera de Guarani, espera aí a minha vez. Confesso que sou de origem pobre, mas meu coração é nobre, foi assim que eu me fiz. Deixa a vida me levar. Deixa a vida me levar, vida leva. Deixa a vida me levar. Sou feliz e agradeço por tudo que Deus me deu. Só posso levantar as mãos no céu, agradecer e ser fiel ao destino que Deus me deu. Se não tenho tudo o que preciso, porque eu tenho vivo de uma senhora. Se a coisa não sai do jeito que eu quero, também não me desespero, o negócio é deixar rolar. Aos campos e barracos na moeda, sou feliz e agradeço por tudo que me deu. Deixa a vida me levar. Deixa a vida me levar, me leva. Deixa a vida me levar. Me deixa a vida me levar. Me deixa a vida me levar. Sou feliz e agradeço por tudo que Deus me deu.
Zeca Pagodinho, quem sabe faz ao vivo. Esse sabe não valer. Aqui no nosso Domingão no Ding Dong. Hoje trazendo, por exemplo, 1993. Muita gente esquece que esse cara é um tremendo compositor também. Quando ele quer, não tem para ninguém. E ele fez uma figura queridíssima nossa que a gente reza para a recuperação dele, o Arlindo Cruz.
Já está chegando. Se Deus quiser, vai voltar.
Tá vendo? Olha aí. Ele trouxe uma virada de jogo do grande Arlindo Cruz, 1993. Ai, que saudade do meu amor. Eita!
A noite já foi, já é madrugada, o dia já vem, eu não fiz nada, não sei de onde eu vim, nem pra onde eu vou. Ai, que saudade do meu amor, a noite já foi, a noite já foi. já. Mas se me perde, não tirei meu leão de flor. Ai, que saudade do meu amor. Agora que amor, ai, que saudade do meu amor. A noite já foi, a noite já foi. Já é madrugada, a dia já vem. Eu não fiz nada, não sei de onde eu vim. Lembrar muito novo. Ai, que saudade do meu amor. A folha cai, o tempo fugiu. O tempo foi, o sol me esqueceu. Eu vivo subir. E eu só sei quando chegou. Ai, que saudade do meu amor. Ai, que saudade do meu amor. Ai, que saudade do meu amor.
A mais autêntica música brasileira aqui com Zeca Pagodinho. Essa banda é extraordinária. Paulão é do tempo do Perdidos, hein? Não.
A maioria aí.
O telhado só me mudou um pouquinho, mas não, aqui isso. Meu, ó, da cacetada, 1983, Beto Sem Braço, figuraça, Zeca Pagodinho e Arlindo Cruz.
Essa foi estourou tudo, né?
Hã?
Essa estourou tudo com a Madrinha Beth Carvalho.
Você começou com a
Beth Carvalho.
Com a Beth, não é isso?
É.
Ó, 1983, meu. E até hoje no show ele tem que cantar. Camarão que dorme. Aí, galera!
Não pense que o meu coração é de papel. Olha, camarão que dorme a hora leva. Hoje é dia da caça, amanhã é o caçador. Camarão que dorme a hora leva. Hoje é dia da caça, hoje é do caçador. Não pense que meu coração é de papel. Camarão que dorme a onda leva. Hoje é dia da caça, amanhã do caçador. O camarão que dorme a onda leva. Hoje é dia da caça, amanhã do caçador. Não quero que nosso amor acabe assim. O coração, quando o homem se tranquilo, só não passa gato e sapato de mim, pois aquele que dá fome também dá castigo. Só não passa gato e sapato de mim, pois aquele que dá fome também dá castigo. Só pense no meu coração, só pense que meu coração é de papel. Não brinque com meu camarão que dorme. Camarão que dorme a onda leva. Hoje é dia da caça, amanhã do caçador. É camarão que dorme. Camarão que dorme a onda leva. Hoje é dia da caça, amanhã do caçador. Não veja meu sentimento. Como eles vêm, quando vem, existir não tem cura. A pele é muito forte, mas tem um porém. Meu bem, a água tatuada tem fura. A pele é muito forte, mas tem um porém. Meu bem, a água tatuada tem fura. Não pense que meu coração me quer. Olha o paixão, obrigado pela oportunidade de estar com ele. Camarão que dorme. Só madruga! Ó madruga, mas. É camarão que dorme. Camarão que dorme a onda leva. Hoje é dia da caça, amanhã do caçador. Hoje é dia da caça, amanhã do caçador. Hoje é dia da caça, amanhã do caçador.
Zeca Pagodinho! Com o super balé do Faustão, o único balé que sabe dançar e cantar, galera! Às 7h05, não poderia o Zeca, que virou musical. musical nessa sexta-feira próxima, Teatro Shopping Cidade, em Copacabana. Zeca Pagodinho, uma história de amor ao samba. Dia 1º de outubro, Zeca tem show no Jockey Clube do Rio. E nesse show, ele vai cantar com certeza do Paulinho Rezende, do Toninho Gerais. Um dos grandes sucessos de 1998, Seu Balancê.
Acertou na minha veia, conseguiu me enfeitiçar. Que veneno teu perfume, que me faz o seu refém. Seu sorriso é um brilho que nenhuma estrela tem. Tô com medo desse doce, tô comendo sua mão. Nunca imaginei que fosse mergulhar na tentação. Essa boca que me beija, me enlouquece de paixão. Te entreguei numa bandeira, sabe? Seu tempero me deixa morar, não mel misturado. O chapéu me bala, me bola, tem uma casinha de saber. Ô Merlino, vai lá debaixo dessa tua saia. Eu não gosto do pano aqui, fazer o que eu Você é de um jogo que fica no corpo. Eu só aceito só uma cruz. Tudo no seu balancinho. Preta para o meu porquê. Tô amando você. Maradona, chega aí, Maradona. Maradona vai devagar hoje. Aumenta, Maradona, fora de fora. Toma tudo. Nunca imaginei que fosse mergulhar na tentação. Essa boca que me beija, me enlouquece de paixão. Te entreguei numa bandeja, chave no meu coração. Ai, jovens. Quando roda no fogo aqui, fazendo conjurir. Minha mão nem seca, parece-me bem. Você é de um jogo que joga que fica no fogo. Eu só aceito o seu prato alto no seu balancinho. Preta copo comigo, tô amando você. Vai! Gente, obrigado. Obrigado por tudo. Boa noite a todos. Fiquem com Deus. Preta cola comigo porque tô amando você.
Uma lenda viva do samba no Brasil.
Tô amando você. É isso aí, papai.
Esse é Zeca Pagodinho, o inoxidável Zeca. Saúde e saudade de você que volta sempre. Agora musical sobre Zeca Pagodinho, garoto. Esse é o eterno garoto Zeca, conhecido como avô do Noah e da Catarina. O Noah já está com 32 anos, a Catarina com 25. Obrigado, Zequinha. Adoro você. Aqui, quem sabe faz ao vivo com essa banda. Que percussão, hein, meu? A 7-9, direto agora para Pedrão. Pedrão, quem que você vai querer escolher agora? 2 e 5. Tá 2-1 para Jonas Klopp e a Isabela Dragão. Olha aí, 2 e 5. Como é que tá?
Vamos aqui.
Vai.
A gente vai no 5.
Atenção, campainha do sucesso número 5. O Jonas já tá pronto, cuidado, que o Jonas já sabe.
Momento emotivo no Domingão do Postão.
Então, atenção, Carla Dias e Pedro Necessian.
Já não importa quem errou.
O que passou, passou e não vem
16 anos de história desta banda. Mais de 10 discos, 4 DVDs, 4 discos de ouro, 1 milhão de discos vendidos. A banda premiada com o troféu Domingão do Faustão 2006-2007. A vocalista da época era a incrível Cláudia Leite, durante 8 anos. Hoje, com a sua nova e importante vocalista, o Domingão destaca 1986. E a gloriosa dupla Michael Sullivan, Paulo Massadas, ainda com Lincoln Olivetti e Robson Jorge, era um quarteto, meu. A primeira vez que quem gravou essa música foi o Roberto Carlos, em 86. O babado veio em 2002 com esse sucesso que até hoje o Brasil inteiro canta e vai cantar com Mary Anthony.
Sinto falta de você. Anjo bom amor perfeito no meu peito. Sem você não sei viver. E também eu conto os dias, conto as horas pra te ver. Eu não consigo te esquecer. Cada minuto é muito tempo sem você. Sem você. Segundos vão passando lentamente. Não tem hora pra chegar. Até quando te querendo, te amando, o meu coração quer te encontrar. Ele também, que nos meus braços esse amor é uma canção. Eu não consigo te esquecer. Cada minuto é muito tempo sem você. Agora eu quero ver deixa pra essa galera. Chora lá em cima do micão. Diz aí. Eu não vou saber me acostumar. Sem tuas mãos pra me acalmar. Siga lá. Sem teu carinho, amor. Só você. Já não importa o que errou, o que passou, passou então. Eu conto os dias, conto as horas pra te ver. Eu não consigo te esquecer. Cada minuto é muito tempo sem você. Sem você.
Essa é Mary Anthony, a nova cantora do Babado Novo. Empatando a partida aqui no Ding Dong, a campainha do sucesso, especialmente para o Genivaldo Oliveira, o super motoboy de Londres, a Jaqueline Lisboa, o Maurício Ferreira, o Daniel Muniz do Zia Teresa, também na capital inglesa. Quem mais? O galera da festa de San Genaro da Mooca do Padre Cláudio Miro, vai até outubro. A Super Mari Antunes, que já está na estrada trabalhando para valer, tanto que dia 22 agora essa semana, Araçuaí, Minas Gerais, depois 23 Salvador. E normalmente tem que ter o pique para ser cantora de banda, a escola da noite, de fazer de ter muita versatilidade. Parece que é a tua história, né?
Com certeza, Fausto. A gente costuma puxar no mínimo 6 horas em cima do trio.
Ainda
tem isso. Então tem que estar lá com o condicionamento físico em dia, preparo vocal. A gente acaba se acostumando, somos da noite.
Quer dizer que cantando bastante à noite, a molinha está sempre bem preparada.
Faustão, eu falei o seguinte, ó, gente, eu vou lançar a nossa música nova hoje, que é Molinha. Eu falei tudo a ver, do lado do Faustão eu vou ficar Molinha.
Olha aí, tá vendo? Nossa Senhora. Atenção, minha senhora, a senhora que está aí, seu marido. Essa música pode inspirar o seu marido, ele está muito molinho, entendeu? A mulher ficando molinha, mais ou menos. O marido molinha é perigoso, pessoal. Então se inspire nessa música que a Mari vai mostrar, porque agora é o novo sucesso do Babado Novo. Dá-me, Mari!
Lançando hoje aqui no Faustão. Deus é maravilhoso. Obrigada, Fausto.
Beijão.
Música de Bruno Calimão, meu amigo. Simbora.
Esquecida gente de falar comigo, sussurrando ao pé do ouvido. Esse sentimento proibido, se eu pudesse mudar o destino, você seria mais que um amigo, só você. Pra me deixar assim, baby, só você. Pra me fazer enlouquecer, só você. Pra me deixar assim, baby, só você. Pra me deixar molinha, molinha, minhas pernas molinha, molinha, minha boca molinha, molinha, louca pra te beijar a noite inteirinha, molinha, molinha, minha cintura molinha, molinha, minha boca molinha, molinha, louca pra te beijar a noite inteirinha, mole, 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 mole. Molinha, molinha, minhas pernas molinha, molinha, minha boca molinha, molinha, louca pra te beijar a noite inteirinha, mole, 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 mole,
Um novo sucesso do Babado Sempre Novo, agora com a Mari Antunes. Pode ser?
Gostão, muito obrigada, parabéns pelo programa, por essa oportunidade que você está me dando. Estou realizando o sonho hoje, gente.
Vejam, saúde,
Ei,
sucesso.
galera!
Obrigado, Mari. Atenção, tá 2-2 esse negócio aqui. Todo mundo pensou, tá vendo? Ia ser moleza esse jogo. 2-2, a decisão vai acontecer daqui a pouquinho, na última música. Será que Jonas Bloch é a Gisele com... Vocês vão...
Ela!
Hã?
Isabela!
Isabela, então...
Isabela Dragão!
Eu tô com outra... Não, tô doidão mesmo. Isabela, é o seguinte, vocês dois, prestem atenção, primeira chance é de vocês, que vocês ganharam para o ímpar. Se não, ó, os dois aqui, eles são loucos para lembrar depois de música, hein? Essa música já tocou aqui. Tomem cuidado com essa dupla aí, Carla Dias e o Pedro Essenciano. Logo depois dos reclames do Plim Plim, a decisão do Ding Dong. Meu, uma das figuras que eu tenho a maior admiração é esse cara aqui, Rolando Boldrin, cara do tempo do rádio, de São Joaquim da Barra. E ele é uma figura extraordinária como compositor, como apresentador, contador de causos. E ele merece um livro escrito por dois jornalistas competentes, William Correia e Ricardo Taira, que é a história de Rolando Boldrin e o Senhor Brasil. Esse livro é sensacional, eu já li uma parte. Peguei agora para ler. Outra coisa legal é o Magnus e o Maurílio com pretos, mostrando a essência da origem da galera do samba da melhor qualidade. É o trabalho desses dois meninos aí, ó. A Mariana Godoy está lançando Em Busca de Aparecida, Histórias e as Graças da Santa Mais Amada do Povo Brasileiro. O prefácio do padre Marcelo Rossi. Esse livro aqui, meu, ó, mostra que abre aqui as fotos da Cláudia Darrer. É sensacional, cozinha caseira, meu, ó, rolinhos de canela. Aqui agora não jantou ainda, ó, rolinhos de goiabada. Olha que sacanagem, olha esse pão, meu, ó, essa hora, meu balé, fica morrendo de fome essa hora, meu. Olha, ó, meu, o livro é demais, tem receitas sensacionais, receitas caseiras. Tem até salada para quem gosta, mas aqui, ó, aqui, alegria de gordinho, aqui, quer ver? Olha esse aqui, meu, ó, de batata. E é tudo segmentado, então é fácil, você quer batata, frango, meu, guarda isso aqui, senão a gente vai comer o livro aqui daqui a pouco. Daqui a pouco tem mais, logo depois dos reclames do Plim Plim. Atenção, olha o que o Henrique Matias conseguiu. A imagem dos homens, você sabe como é que é? Homens, você sabe como é que é? Nossa, primeira rodada aqui na dança, foram elogiados, macho. A segunda também. Então, eles acham que não precisa nem de professora mais. Olha agora os homens sozinhos. É isso que você falou, Carol? Então, vamos ver. No funk. Olha lá. Olha o micro. Vamos lá. Olha lá. Olha lá. Olha lá. Olha o Zulu. Está fazendo aniversário hoje também, viu, Pedrão? Zulu, olha lá. Aí, Joaquim. Olha lá. Olha o Lucas. Olha lá. Fazendo quadradinho, oitinho, dozinho, olha lá. Olha o Raul. Cada figura, meu, olha lá. Aí o Tiagão. Cada fera. Daqui a pouquinho tem a dança dos famosos, os homens do funk. Logo depois os reclames do Flick e a decisão do Ding Dong, a campainha do sucesso.
Pessoal, daqui a pouco o Fantástico vai mostrar as novas denúncias contra o preparador físico Nuno Cobra. Ele ficou preso essa semana, acusado por violação sexual contra uma mulher dentro de um avião. A gente vai explicar que crime é esse. Nossos repórteres foram à Florida Keys, por onde passou o olho do furacão Irma.
A gente vai pisando aqui sobre aquilo que um dia foi a casa dessas pessoas. Tem pedaços de madeira, chapas de metal. Olha o estado disso aqui.
O real poder do arsenal da Coreia do Norte. Os riscos de uma guerra nuclear.
O que a gente sabe é que o estrago é amplo e restrito.
É atualidade, é fantástico. É daqui a pouco, depois do Faustão. Você vai ver.
Vende, vende. Isso aí é apressada, sem bolsa, sem nada. E aqui no meu bolso só tem um cartão.
Tudo bem, porque eu também aceito. Débito, crédito e até refeição.
É a minha vizinha, sim.